In Bible, we made some. The students are going to tell the stories about Elijah's life, and so I made groups of 3 students and assigned them each a story. And we had a brainstorming session about how they could present their story. They could create a booklet, write a newspaper article, act them out, draw a series of pictures, make a news report, and then the idea was that all of their presentations will be turned into a technology presentation. Either a series of photographs of your project or a video of your project. As soon as I said the word video, they all knew they wanted to do a video. I wasn't planning on that because I had 2 video cameras and 6 regular cameras, so we made do, but I did have 2 groups that wanted to do photos, so that worked out nice. So in their groups, they had to read the story from the Bible, and I also gave them a storybook version, just so that they were masters of their story before they had to teach it or present it. And then they had a planning sheet, of course, ideas, their choice they were going to use to present, what materials, the steps they would take, the group members, their individual assignments. And then it was time for them to begin their work. They first needed to write up their plan, and this whole process took at least a good 2 days, probably. The ones that were taking a series of photographs had to make a list of each of the photographs they were going to take, and the ones writing a video wrote a script, so they had to write a play, pretty much. And then when they were done, they had to rehearse. And then it came time for recording day. And so Lyle helped me gather all the cameras and make sure the batteries were charged and all this. And then I gave each group a quick little lesson on how to use the type of technology they were going to use. Things like, if you're videotape, you need to hold still. You need to be close enough to hear the voices. If you're taking pictures, push the shutter halfway so it's not a big blur. All of those things that you find out afterwards, you wished you had told them beforehand. And then the groups taking photographs could work right in the classroom because noise wasn't an issue. The groups taking a video had to find a different, quieter room down the hall, so that was fun for them too, of course. And then Mrs. Wright, our tech teacher, I asked her if she could help out with this, and once I had collected all of the media, if she could help them put it into the iMovie program during their tech time. My behind-the-scenes work, I had to take all the pictures and the video that they put onto the cameras and get that onto the computers ready for them so that when they went to tech time with Mrs. Wright, it was there. And in order to do that, I had to get a certain login on a certain computer and assign it. There's a little bit of fussing with that. We would have liked to put it on the network and get it so that they could just access it easy, but we didn't figure that all out in the time that we had. So that's how we went about it. Then once they opened the program, she showed them that. They began dragging and dropping their photos, their video clips into their iMovie project that they were making. They were instructed to add a title screen and then to put some transitions between their video clips or their photos. And the ones that did photos in their transitions, they had to have a sentence describing what the next picture was going to be viewing. In all, student work on tech, this is not including the planning time and the creating time in the classroom, probably about 2 hours fussing with their movies and creating them. Then I had to go back to the computers that they created on, compress the movie, which is not a big deal. You find export in the drop-down menu and it's done. And then Lyle ran to the store that day and got me a 4 gig thumb drive because I couldn't fit the videos on the smaller ones we had available, so I could plug them into my laptop so that we could view them in the classroom. And so here is an example from one of the groups. This is one of the groups that did a series of photographs. They had the story from 1 Kings 16 and 17 where Elijah announces the famine to Ahab and then hides in the desert where the ravens feed him. Oh, wait a minute. That's how it's supposed to happen. Go back. There we go. This cracked me up. He went on vacation partway through the project, so that's why it's a little of Luke. And so here is their first transition where they're telling us what's going to happen in this photograph. And there's the photograph of them worshiping the golden calf, which happens to be a fuzzy dog. And I did not edit, obviously. As you can see, I let it be. I thought this is their creation. And we know what they mean. We don't have a question here, so. And then Elijah went off the screen a little bit there. That was one of the things that I thought of later. That zooming in feature is the Ken Burns effect, and I did not teach them that effect. I don't think Mrs. Wright taught them that effect. It's kind of complicated. So if their picture was right to the edges of the frames, when it zoomed in, you missed out on some of the pictures. So that's a little more complicated than I felt like the fourth graders could tackle when we were just focused on getting the story down. And this one too, the Ken Burns effect zooms in and he goes right off the bottom of the screen. But he's being fed by the ravens, which were Beanie Babies out of Mrs. Beamer's music room. Whatever works. So the things that I learned from it, the Ken Burns effect, you got to teach them that. Teaching them how to adjust the time length on each slide was another feature. Their transition slides where the sentences came in were 40 seconds each when they created the slideshow, and was that a long haul. So we went through and we edited them down to 15 seconds, but even as I watch it, it could have been shorter. And then, there's the question of the typos. Do I fix them? Do I leave them? I thought it was kind of neat to have those in there. Here's a group that did a video. They did the story of 1 Kings 19, Elijah hiding from Jezebel after she finds out that her priests were killed at the contest on Mount Carmel.
Jezebel had just heard about Elijah. He killed
Here's
all
acting
the
at its finest.
Yes, Jezebel. Don't tell Elijah that if he is not dead by tomorrow, I will go and kill him myself. Elijah.
The messenger told Elijah the queen's message. Elijah ran for safety.
Run. I will.
Elijah prayed to God to help him. God sent an angel.
Elijah, the Lord has told me this. Eat this food. It'll make you stronger. I shall do what the Lord wants me to do.
Elijah ate, and he could climb the mountain. And
that was that one. I had one more. This one I wanted to show you because they did this one as a news cast. So this is Elijah hiding from Jezebel when God speaks to him in a whisper, and then he goes on to anoint Elisha as the next prophet. These kids decided to do a news report, and they decided their network was going to be called WTC, the Wacky Tower Central. And you'll see why as soon as you see the news reporter.
Here we are at Wacky Tower Central. Breaking news! Yesterday, a voice was heard talking to Elijah. People thought it was God.
We think it was God too.
Here is what some eyewitnesses saw. Here we go.
The people have forsaken the 10 commandments and killed your prophets. I'm the only one left.
Come out and stand on the mountain.
Look, there!
What are you doing here, Elijah?
The people have forsaken the 10 commandments and killed their prophets. I'm the only one left.
You are wrong, Elijah. There are 7,000 that have never worshipped Baal. Go back to Israel and anoint Elijah to take your place.
Pause.
Let me go and say goodbye to my mom and dad. Goodbye. Well, after seeing that short video clip, what do you think? voice was God? Well, see you later at Wacky Town Central, and be sure to look up in your Bible the story about Elijah.
Wait a minute. And
They are cute, I'll give you that. So here's some of the things that came up. Okay, loading the photos and the videos onto the computer so they were accessible to the kids, I mentioned that to you. The poor videotaping skills was an issue with some of the groups. Some of them that I didn't choose to show you were too far away. It was very quiet, you could barely hear the kids. Lots of wiggling. I had gotten the tripods out and didn't have enough time to talk with Dan or Lyle about how to hook the camera onto the tripod, and as search as I might, I could not figure out. So the kids had to do it just free arm, so I made them plant their elbow, but you know, those elbows move. Then when we went to use the iMovie in the lab, we discovered, oh my, this is a much older version than we have on our laptop. So we had to quick learn that version in a minute so we could teach it to the kids. And then of course, once they're in the program, they start messing around with all the different options, and then they get trouble making changes, and now they're like, we don't know what happened. And I'm like, I don't either, because that wasn't part of the assignment. But so we made it through. They did need a lot of assistance, and that was difficult to do with one teacher in 6 groups. I think next time I do this, I'm going to say we're all going to do just the photos, you know, and then get our feet wet with iMovie using just photos and transitions, and then maybe a different project later in the year go for the video thing. And then I had the trouble of how do I get the videos from the computers back to my lab, back to my laptop, all these different things were a lot of behind the scenes work. But now that I've done it, of course, it will be easier next time. The benefits, they had to really know their story well to be able to retell it. They were excited. They took ownership of it. I mean, that last video was great. That was creativity strictly from the kids. I didn't tell them to bring props. I didn't tell them to do any of that. The wigs, I'm not sure why, but even Elijah brought shorts and sandals because he wanted to look more like Elijah with red curly hair, but whatever. They took ownership of it. Some of them even wrote their scripts at home by their own free will. This was an opportunity for them to get their feet wet with the editing software. Next time it's going to be easier. We had a nice variety of storytelling. It's a refreshing change from listening to me tell the story or read it from the storybook. And there's a great sense of accomplishment for both students and obviously me as well. Next steps, I'm going to put it onto a class blog that I'm still working on creating, and then it will be available to the parents, and hopefully we'll get some comments and so forth that way too. So that's one way to use technology.